We're going to grade log footage for YouTube videos. We will go from a log footage into DaVinci Wide Gamut, where we'll do all of our grades and then output this to Rec 709. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I will teach you how to save your node trees so you can apply it to every single project. So let's go hop on in the color page and see how to do this. Okay, so let's jump on into the color page here. We're going to click on this one. And now we're in here. Let's reset our UI layout. This way everybody can look at the same thing. I'm going to close my gallery. And I'm just going to drag this on over. I'm going to leave this window small just so we can build out our node tree. So a quick little disclaimer, what I want to build out here is what you can use for just YouTube videos. You don't have to do a whole lot, and this is really good for beginners to learn how to color grade and use the nodes. This is not really an advanced grading technique. It's just for what you basically need on almost all of your videos. So we're going to get started here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build the node tree. So I want you to follow along and do it with me. Get any footage that you have. It doesn't matter if it's Rec 709 or if it's log footage, you can still do this with me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go with this first node, and then we're just going to build our tree. What you can do is right click on your node, and we're going to come down to add node, and then you see here there's add serial, and these are the shortcuts that we need for all of these. So let's add serial. So you can see I just created a new node. So I'm just going to move it over a little bit, and I'm going to add another one, but this time I'm going to press Option, or you can press Alt and S, and now I've created another one. Now I'm going to create one more, going to do the same thing, and there we go. Now I have my 3 main nodes that I'm going to be working with. However, I want to build another portion here. I'm going to press Alt or Option S again. We're going to do that, but this time we're going to partition it. So I'm going to press Option P. As you can see, I created another little partition. I'm going to do one more. So when you partition it, it'll create this. That means we can just do everything within this one little node structure there. So I like to do it with 3 coming out of this one here. So let's create a couple more serial nodes. Just going to press it twice, and we have them going out there. How about one more actually? There we go. We want 3 over here, because this will be our Colorspace transform going out. So I'll just bring that over here. All right, once you get your node tree looking the way you kind of want to, now it's time to label them. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the first node. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go node label. I'm going to call this one Colorspace transform in. I'm going to label this one as balance / exposure. I'm going to label this one contrast, and label this one saturation. All right, next we're going to do these 3. We're going to do temperature. We'll call this one sharpen, and curves. All right, this one here will be look. This one will be mask, and the last one will be Colorspace transform out. Let's get started with our Colorspace transforms. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the very first node, and we're going to come up here to effects on the right side here. We click on that, and this will come up. You can come down to Colorspace transform, or you can click here and just start typing color and find your Colorspace transform. Just grab that, drag it over, and drop it onto there. And now you can see this menu has come up. If you click on another node, there will be no menu. It'll go right back to your effects. You can close the effects window by clicking that and then seeing the rest of your nodes. So I'm going to add the Colorspace transform to that. You may need to click it, say drag it up, click your effects, grab that, pull it there. You can close your effects window and put it back in place, however you want to do it. I just want to have this node tree built out. Okay, so before I make the Colorspace transform, you can go ahead and come over to your picture. I want you to right click it and grab still, and we'll get into why later. Now let's do our Colorspace transforms. So I'm going to click on this one, the first one. Let's go back to effects. and let's see how to make that transform. As you can see, the very first thing here we have is called Input Colorspace. I shot in Canon C-Log 3. So if you shot in Sony, you're going to want to use your S-Log, whatever you're using. If you shot in a Rec 709, then put in Rec 709. So I'm going to come down to Canon Cinema Gamut or Gamut. I'm going to put my input gamma. I'm going to come down to C-Log 3. And as you can see, that just completely changed. Here, actually, let me bring this over so you can see when the changes happen. So next, I'm going to do my output Colorspace. So what happens is, this is the input from my media in, and then this is going to change it into what I want. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to a DaVinci Wide Gamut or Gamut. And as you can see, that's changed a lot, but we're not finished with that because we need to turn this to DaVinci Intermediate. And now that is there. So what we've done is we've taken the media that comes in and it outputs it onto the timeline as a DaVinci Wide Gamut or Gamut. And we have so much more to work with. All right, so now I'm going to just drag my Nodetree over. Here we go. All right, I'm going to just grab my CST out, my Colorspace transform out. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to open my effects again. And now we have to do the opposite. We got to take it from a DaVinci and output it to the Rec 709. Even if you were grading a Rec 709, you should do this because it'll still be very helpful to grade it in DaVinci Wide Gamut. So we're going to click on Input Colorspace, and we come down to the DaVinci Wide Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. And now we're going to do our Output Colorspace, which this is what's going to output for our render. And we're going to go down to Rec 709, and your output gamma should be a gamma 2.4. Make sure your monitor is calibrated for this color because this is what we will see while we grade that. Okay, another thing I want to point out is, as you can see down here where these checkboxes, do not play with any of this stuff. DaVinci Resolve is very intelligent and intuitive of what you are doing. So for example, if I click here on the CST in, you see that is not there. But DaVinci Resolve does understand what you are doing. So when you make those changes and you change to the Rec 79 going out, it automatically puts that there. So don't mess with any of those settings, just let DaVinci Resolve handle that as what it's designed to do. So I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Chad. I make DaVinci Resolve tutorials and create systems and processes to help you streamline your workflow. This way you can focus on your business growth. If you're finding this information is helpful to you, I would really appreciate it if you would like to help the channel by giving me a thumbs up and subscribe. Alright, so now let's close this effects panel because we don't need that, and we're just going to focus on what we're going to edit. Now this footage, I have a lot of colors, throughout this, a lot of blue. The green is quite strong. So there's going to be a mix. There's actually not a whole lot of red, so I just have to pay attention to what I'm looking at. I chose to do this footage because this is actually what I usually work with, and it's not always going to be perfect. When I'm outside or using different lighting, usually this stuff is very even, but here it won't be. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to come down here and we're going to click on this here, and that brings this up. This is what we call the parade. I want to just show you what a few things are here. So there's also waveform, vector scope, histogram, and your CIE chromaticity. All right, so I don't actually do anything with that there. What we're going to focus with is with our parade. Most people do that. However, if you do want to pay attention to your vector scope and you want to stay along the lines for the skin tones, what you can do is you can click on this right here, which is your settings. And when you come down here, there will be show skin tone indicator under your additional gamut or gamut. Click that. And as you can see, that skin tone indicator just pops right up. But let me go back to parade because this is where most people and I like to work. We have our first one, which is the Colorspace. Next is our balance and exposure. When I try to do my balance and exposure, I like to go into my HDR wheels and I will edit using these. My exposure, I kind of like to keep this somewhat dark, but I am going to bring up my exposure a little bit. How about I drag this over, make this, can't really make that bigger here. I'm down to one screen. I usually do this with two, so it's going to be a little bit harder with just this one screen like this. This is my color grading monitor, but I usually do it full screen with it. So I'm just paying attention, kind of paying attention when I get this close to 896. I know this stuff is way over. However, there's just so much lighting going on in the back there, but we can mess around with some of this stuff here, so I can bring the exposure for that down a little bit, as you can see in the back. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Let's see how we can do with our shadows and the darks. I like them to be a little dark. I am really crushing some of these darks down here. I'm not going to worry too much about it if it's coming out kind of the way I want. Now we're going to just add a little contrast. So what I do is I click on this node, which is my contrast. I'm not going to do HDR. I'm going to click on this one for contrast. And as you can see, we actually have a contrast slider. So just grab that. I'm going to add some contrast. You can watch the parade. You know, I'm just adding a little bit. I'm not going to go real crazy with it. If you do mess something up and say you drag way over, just come to the name, double click on it, and it's going to reset it. So add a little contrast, okay? And then I like to use my pivot. So if I pivot all the way to right, it's going to bring it down into the darks. If I pivot to the left, it's going to bring it up into the highlights. Let's reset that, and here we go. Let's see. All right, go right about there. Now we're going to go with saturation. There is this saturation slider, but that's not what I like to use. I like to come into my HDR wheels again, and here under the global, there's the saturation here. I will use this slider to take away saturation or to add it. Let's reset that, and then we're going to add a little saturation. It's really hard for me to see on this little one, but I'll do my best. If necessary, can give a little color boost, which is okay. So I was here, I clicked on here, and I just gave a little tiny color boost. As you see there, I'm just going to 0.5, just a tiny bit of color boost. Next up on our node tree, I'm going to go here to temperature. So if you need to adjust your temperature, you can come here, let's say under this one, not the HDR, but under the primary color wheels. You can grab this temperature, you can drag it to the left or right, make it warmer or cooler. Let's reset that. I just give a little cooler touch because I like that. I like to add some blue into this. All right, sharpening. Sharpening is quite simple. Still under the primary wheels, we come over here to mid detail. We can grab this slider. If you want to take the sharpen off, you go to the left. If you want to sharpen it, you go to the right. So let's reset that and add just a touch sharpening. And then curves. If you need curves, you don't always need them, but maybe you do want some. You can also, add some contrast this way. So we have these. You can select individual colors, whether you want blue, green, if you want to take something out, you can do that. You can, but be careful what you do here. So I'm doing this with all colors here. I'm going to focus around where I am at. So you can also, select exactly where it is and you get to see the different colors or whatnot. But let me undo that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click here and click here. I'm going to drag this up a little bit and drag that down, make like a little S curve. And as you can see, it really added a little depth and contrast to it. However, I'm not really going to mess with the curves too much. So I'm going to leave that one alone. Next, we come out of this. This is where it can degrade your footage a little bit. I mean, it's not going to really hurt your footage, but the more you do, obviously could. So then we have the look node. Let me just bring this back over since that's not actually changing size. There we go. All right, so we have the look node, the mask node, these two next to. So look, what you can do is maybe you want to use the new color slice if you're using DaVinci Resolve 19. So in here you have your skin tones, reds, and you know, all these different colors. Maybe you'd like to increase a bit on those blues. Reset that. Maybe you can, over here on the right side, you can add the saturation. And you can also change the hue, so you can really change the hue whichever way you want to go there. Reset all that. So I will just add a touch of blue, a touch of saturation there, and then skin tones. If you choose to mess with your skin tones, as you can see, dragging that up or down is going to make a bit of a difference there. So I'm going to lower mine just a little bit there, and then you can increase the saturation, decrease it. Just bring it down and back. Anyway, I'm not going to do too much on the color slice here. This is just for a YouTube video, so I'm not going crazy with my color grading here. The next one would be mask. Now, you may want to do multiple masks. First, let's just start with one, and then we'll discuss multiple masks after that. So for this mask, I'm not doing like magic mask. What I'm going to do is the power window masks. So here, you see this little circle? We click on this, and this brings up our power windows. You can, you know, write on, you can use the line, the circle, or the rectangle. So let me just click on this circle, and as you can see, it brought that up. We'll just bring this over my face. Okay, so we're just going to try to make it similar to the face structure, and let's bring this feather out, actually. Feather that down a bit like that. Then we're going to bring this more like this. And there we go. Alright, so now if I do a color grade or something, it's going to happen within that mask. Because you can see here, it just has my face selected. If you want to do outside of it, I guess you can invert it. But we're going to do inside. And let's just do something drastic to see. So one way of changing your temperature color, you could actually just grab these things and say we want to change the color for something. I can just drag it around there. Undo that. Say you want to brighten your face up. Let's go into HDR and we'll do a global. If you want to darken, you need to brighten your face, something like that, you can do that. So let us just brighten my face a little bit. Pull up some shadows. Okay, so we made that adjustment. But say you also have another section that you want to do something with. So what we're going to do is we're going to partition that. So do the same thing, Option or Alt and P. Now you have the partition. So what I would do is maybe we do the rectangle and we want to do this section a little bit different. Maybe we want to darken this, for example. So let's just grab that and we can darken. There we go. Okay, and so now, yeah, so now maybe you want to just darken that section for some crazy reason. But whatever, the point is that you can partition and you create your masks within this before you go out to your Colorspace transform. And if at any point you don't like something you did and you just want to reset the node grade, you can just right click and reset node grade, and then that's gone. We don't need this one. I'm just going to press backspace and delete it. I don't need that. I'm going to reset that node grade, and I'm just going to leave this as it is. So now let us pull this over and see our node tree. Okay, so now that you have the fully graded node tree, what you can do is come over here. We're going to right click and we're going to grab still. Now that you've done that, let's see what those stills are. We're going to click on this gallery. And as you can see, I now have all of these over here. Some of these are from previous, but what we just created was this one here and this one here. Okay, so I added a piece of footage way over here so that we have something to work with in here. And as you can see, we have nothing on there, only this one node, and nothing's done. What you can do is you can come over here, you can right click and apply grade. And as you can see, now I have that full node tree, which was not, with nothing done to it, right? So even if I click on here, I go to effects, and I don't have the Colorspace transform. If you do want it with just the Colorspace transform without any grades, go ahead and fill that out and grab your still again with a Command Z, and now we have nothing again. Also, when you hover over one of these, you're going to be able to see the look just by hovering over it. So this is something else. It's not going to be looking good because they are not graded for this specifically. However, this was the grade we had just done. So as you can see, hovering over there, that's the way this looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this one, I'm going to apply grade, and now every single node fully graded is done for this. So if you're doing YouTube videos, talking heads, and you have a similar light setup all of the time, and your camera's basically in the same way, you can apply your grade and then make your minor adjustments, and you're like 90% of the way there. Now, I told you if you stuck around to the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to save these and to apply them to all of your projects. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up to this one. I'm going to right click this. I'm going to come down to export. Once I'm down on export, I'm going to go find my folder. So I have set up in an external edit SSD that I have set up. I'm going to come in here, and I had just created a folder for my new node tree. You can export it and name it whatever you would like. So let's go with blank node tree. I'm going to export that. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to export this one, but this one's going to be graded node tree. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come up here onto the very left side, and you see this little tab right here. You click on that, and this side will come down. This has your stills, which is what we have there. You can check your timelines. But then here we have this power grade 1. As you can see, I already have some power grades that I typically use for something, but I do not have any of the ones that we just did. Actually, I want to show you how to import some stills. How about we do that? So let's delete these. Actually, I'm just going to delete them. I'm going to press backspace. So now I don't have those node trees that we just created. I just deleted everything. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click in this, and I'm going to come down to import. We're going to find the folder that we had created. All right, so here in this folder that we had created, you see this blank node, and it has a DPX and a DRX, and then the same thing with the other one. We only need the DPX file, so we're going to just click those two and import. And just like that, it has imported them. So now if I want to, I just right click this, apply grade, and say you did the wrong one, you can easily just right click that and apply grade, and then you have the fully color graded. However, we were discussing about the doing them on all projects. So let me just undo that. So now we're back to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to drag it over to my power grades right there. Grab this one and drag it into power grade and drop that in there. Now, as you see, the stills are gone. But if I click on power grade, now you can see I have them in there. This is what we just made here, were these from the power grade, and you can just apply them exactly the same. Right click, apply grade, and there it is. Right click, apply grade, and there. Okay, but what if you're doing it on a new project or a different project? So let's see about that. I'm going to come up here to File, Open Recent Project, because I have other projects. You can test it with any of the ones you have, as long as they're within that project library. You're going to click on something. I have preset this one, so that way you could see just going into one. And I just come over to power grade, and as you see, my power grade nodes are already there. Just right click, apply grade, and there's that. So that is how we build node trees and save them, so you can import them for any project and or put them into your power windows. If you have any questions about any of this, just drop a comment below and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. And if you found that this video was helpful to you, you can check out this video right here where I teach you how to use this mouse and or some keyboard shortcuts, which will speed up your workflow significantly. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.